Picture this. You arrive at your dream outdoor wedding venue on your big day, only to find it completely empty. No decorations, no chairs, no guests. Because your mother secretly moved your entire wedding to a country club 2 hours away without telling you. And when you refuse to go along with it, she calls you the selfish one. This actually happened to someone, and Reddit had some strong opinions. Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Stories Daily, where we dive into the most jaw-dropping, unbelievable, and sometimes wholesome stories from the internet. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because we post these every single day. Today's story comes from r/AmItheAsshole, and I promise you this one is wild. We're talking about wedding drama on a level that most people can't even imagine. So let's get into it. Our protagonist today, we'll call her Emma, is a 29-year-old bride who just wanted a simple, beautiful outdoor wedding. She'd been planning this day with her fiancé Jake for over a year. They found this gorgeous garden venue right by a lake, the kind of place where the sunset hits just right and makes everything look magical. It wasn't fancy or expensive, but it was perfect for them. The venue cost them about $8,000, which they saved for themselves. No family, money involved. Now here's where it gets interesting. Emma's mother, let's call her Patricia, was not happy with this choice from day one. Patricia comes from money. She's the type who thinks appearances are everything, and an outdoor wedding at a garden venue just wasn't sophisticated enough for her social circle. She kept dropping hints about country clubs, fancy hotels, ballrooms with chandeliers, but Emma and Jake stood their ground. This was their wedding, their money, their choice. Patricia seemed to accept it eventually, or so Emma thought. She stopped bringing up alternative venues about 6 months before the wedding. Emma figured her mum had finally made peace with it. Looking back now, Emma realises her mother had just gotten quiet because she was planning something else entirely. The week before the wedding, Patricia was being unusually helpful, offering to confirm final details with vendors, saying she wanted to take some stress off Emma's plate. Emma thought, hey, maybe my mom is finally being supportive. She let Patricia handle some of the last-minute vendor communications. Big mistake. Wedding day arrives. Emma is getting ready at her apartment with her bridesmaids, feeling nervous but excited. Hair and makeup done, dress fitting perfectly. Everything seems to be going according to plan. They take the limo to the garden venue, and Emma is imagining that moment when she's going to walk down that aisle by the lake with Jake waiting for her. But when they pull up to the venue, it's completely empty. No decorations, no arch, no chairs, no guests, nothing. Just an empty garden and a very confused venue coordinator who has no idea what's happening. Emma gets out of the limo in her full wedding dress, completely panicking. She calls her mum immediately. Patricia answers on the first ring, and here's what she says, and I quote, "Oh, honey, didn't you get my message? I moved the wedding to Riverside Country Club. It's so much nicer, everyone's already there. Just come on over." Emma is speechless. She asks what her mother is talking about. Patricia explains, like it's the most normal thing in the world, that she contacted all the vendors 3 days ago, told them there was a venue change, and had everything redirected to this country club. She even had new invitations printed with the new address and hand-delivered them to all the guests yesterday. Emma asks how she could possibly do this without telling the bride, and Patricia's response? "I tried to tell you, but you were so stressed with the final details. I didn't want to burden you. Plus, I knew you'd argue with me, and we didn't have time for that. I paid for the country club myself as my wedding gift to you. You should be thanking me." Emma is standing in an empty garden in her wedding dress, and her mother wants her to be grateful. The country club, by the way, is 2 hours away. Patricia had arranged for buses to transport all the guests, but didn't think to mention any of this to Emma or Jake. Jake arrives at the garden venue shortly after, equally confused, and finds Emma crying in her wedding dress. They call the country club, and yes, there's a full wedding set up there. Patricia had spent $30,000 creating an entirely different wedding. Different flowers, different decorations, different menu, everything that Patricia wanted, instead of what Emma and Jake had planned. Here's where Emma makes her decision. She tells Jake there's no way she's going to that country club. This is not the wedding they planned, and she refuses to let her mother hijack the most important day of her life. Jake agrees completely. They're in this together. They call their closest friends and family members directly, the ones who didn't follow the buses to the country club. About 20 people show up at the garden venue. Emma and Jake ask the venue coordinator if there's any way they can still make this happen. The coordinator, bless her heart, says the ceremony space is still available and she can do a basic setup with what they have on site. Within an hour, they have a simple ceremony with 20 guests, no decorations except some basic chairs, and a very confused officiant who drove back from the country club. Emma and Jake get married right there, exactly where they wanted to, with the people who actually cared enough to come to their wedding, instead of Patricia's version. Meanwhile, at the country club, Patricia is apparently having a meltdown. She's calling Emma over and over, saying she's embarrassing her in front of all these guests, that she spent $30,000 and Emma is being ungrateful and selfish. She's literally texting during Emma's actual ceremony, saying that Emma is ruining her own wedding out of spite. After the ceremony, Emma and Jake go out to dinner with their 20 guests who showed up. They have an amazing night, actually. Small, intimate, exactly what they wanted. The garden venue coordinator even refunded them $2,000 because they didn't use the full setup. But now the family fallout is intense. Patricia is not speaking to Emma. She's telling everyone in the family that Emma humiliated her and wasted her money. Several relatives are saying Emma should have just gone to the country club to keep the peace. That she could have had a beautiful fancy wedding instead of a thrown-together ceremony with barely any guests. Emma's dad, who is divorced from Patricia, thinks what Patricia did was completely insane and is fully supporting Emma. Emma is starting to second-guess herself. Yes, her mum way overstepped. But did she overreact by refusing to go? Should she have just gone along with it to avoid all this family drama? She's asking Reddit, am I the AI hole for walking out of my own wedding when my mom changed the venue without telling me? Okay, so Reddit had thoughts on this one. The post got over 15,000 upvotes and nearly 3,000 comments, and the verdict was overwhelmingly NTA, not the a-hole. The top comment, with over 12,000 upvotes, said, "Your mother didn't move your wedding. She planned her own wedding and expected you to show up and perform in it like an actress. You are NTA. And honestly, I'm impressed you had the spine to stand up to her on your actual wedding day. Most people would have caved." Another highly upvoted comment pointed out, "She didn't even tell you. This wasn't a surprise gift. This was a hostile takeover. She knew you would say no, so she did it behind your back and put you in a position where she thought you'd have no choice but to comply. This is manipulative behaviour at its finest." One user said, "The fact that she hand-delivered new invitations to guests yesterday but couldn't bother to tell the bride says everything you need to know. She was banking on you being too shocked and too pressured by all those guests to say no. She underestimated you. Good for you." Several people pointed out that Patricia's behaviour wasn't just controlling, it was potentially abusive, creating a situation where Emma would be forced to choose between her own wishes and avoiding public humiliation is a manipulation tactic. A comment that really resonated said, "Your mum spent $30,000 to prove she has more control over your life than you do. This was never about giving you a nice wedding. This was about showing you, your husband, and everyone there that what she wants matters more than what you want. You refusing to play along was the right move." The ESH, everyone sucks here votes were very rare, but a few people said Emma could have handled it differently by going to the country club, thanking everyone for coming, explaining what happened, and leaving. But most commenters shot this down, saying Emma had no obligation to participate in her mother's manipulation. One perspective I found interesting. Your mum is going to play victim forever. She'll tell this story as I spent $30,000 on my ungrateful daughter's wedding, and she didn't even show up. But anyone with half a brain will eventually ask, "Wait, you changed her entire wedding without telling her?" And then they'll get it. Give it time. The consensus was clear. Emma is absolutely NTA, and her mother's behaviour crossed every possible boundary. So here's my take on this situation. What Patricia did goes so far beyond normal overbearing mother behaviour. This wasn't about giving Emma a nice wedding, or even about control in a typical sense. This was about erasing Emma's choices entirely and replacing them with her own, without consent, without communication, and with full awareness that Emma would disagree. Think about the calculation here. Patricia waited until 3 days before the wedding to make the switch. Why? Because she knew that if she did it earlier, there'd be time to fix it or push back. She created a pressure cooker situation where Emma would feel forced to comply because of all the guests, all the money spent, all the social pressure. And the thing about calling it a gift? That's manipulation 101. When you give someone a gift they didn't want, didn't ask for, and actively opposed, and then demand gratitude, that's not generosity. That's control wrapped in a bow. I think Emma did the exact right thing. Yes, it caused family drama. Yes, some guests were probably confused or annoyed. But here's what matters. Emma and Jake got married on their terms, in the place they chose, surrounded by people who respected them enough to show up at their actual wedding. The alternative would have been what? Going along with it, setting the precedent that mom can override any decision if she just spends enough money? That's a terrible way to start a marriage. Jake would have watched his wife cave to manipulation on day one. That's not a good foundation. As for the family members saying Emma should have just kept the peace, these are often people who enable this kind of behaviour because it's easier than confrontation. But keeping the peace really means letting the controlling person control everything to avoid their tantrum. That's not peace, that's surrender. The $30,000 is Patricia's problem, not Emma's. Nobody asked her to spend that money. She spent it as a tool of manipulation, and when the manipulation didn't work, she wants to use the money as guilt. Classic move. I hope Emma and Jake are enjoying their marriage without Patricia in their lives, at least for now. This is the kind of behaviour that requires serious boundaries and possibly therapy before the relationship can be healthy again. So what do you think? Did Emma handle this the right way? Or should she have gone to the country club to avoid the family drama? Would you have been able to stand up to your parent like that on your wedding day? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more daily Reddit drama. Tomorrow we've got a story about a best man's speech that went horribly wrong, and you're not going to want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and remember, if someone changes your wedding venue without telling you, you are never the a-hole for refusing to play along. See you tomorrow.